So Roxanne, can you tell me about the book that's coming out in France December 3rd?
Yes, it's my Backstage DIOR book, and it's The Fashion and Forward by John Galliano. And for me, he keeps fashion alive, the fantasy of fashion, the craziness of fashion, the fun of fashion. And so when I went to do my Backstage book, I looked at who I had most of and which one would be the easiest to do, and it was John Galliano for DIOR. And so we put together, with art direction by Fabian Baron, a collection of pictures from when he started till now.
What year did he start?
I think he started in late 96 or early 97. I'm not exactly sure about that, because I haven't looked it up lately. But he's been there approximately 11, 12 years. And I just love what he does. The whimsy, the craziness, the costume, the wearables and not wearable. The magic is always there. And the production, the hair, the makeup, the clothes, every little detail is perfect. So for me, it was so easy to put together what I saw backstage and make a really fabulous book out of it. You'll be surprised. It's amazing.
What are some of your highlights?
All of them are highlights. I couldn't choose. We had to keep narrowing down because it's 248 pages, and we had to keep narrowing it down because it was a book that was so heavy nobody could pick it up. And the way it started with so many more pictures. And so hopefully we narrowed down the best of the best.
And this is, how many books have you already done?
This is my third book, and my first totally, completely all-fashion book. And the only man in the book is John Galliano.
Yes, like that.
Everybody else, the girls, the models, the dancers, and so on. And it's just incredibly magical, amazing, wonderful.
Did you see many things change since 96 or 97?
Fashion always changes. That's what fashion is about. It's in today, it's out tomorrow. The way they do backstage changes, the runway changes, everything kind of changes. But with John, he's more consistent in that he always makes a production out of it. It's always spectacular. It always has incredible hair, incredible makeup, incredible accessories. It's always a package with him. It's not just some clothes on a girl walking on a runway. It's always much more.
And he always working with Pat McGrath, for the makeup?
Yes.
How was the makeup this year as opposed to, let's say, 1996?
Similar, actually. It was a bit more simple than when he began. It was a bit more classic and a bit more simple. So it sort of went around in a circle, pretty much. But I just love the extremes. And so for me, he does it every time. When I go in the show and I see what's going on, my feet are floating and they don't come down till after the show's over. I mean, I'm in fashion heaven. I just float along through the show. There's just so many pictures to take and so many possibilities. It's just divine.
And with Galliano, like when he comes out at the end, that's kind of amazing to see from the front of the house, but you never see that, right?
Well, I see him going out and I see him coming back, and sometimes I'm able to capture it, and sometimes he just zips by, unfortunately. But then he receives people in the back, and I get a chance to get him again, sometimes with the same outfit, and sometimes with a new one. But he's also definitely part of the spectacle and part of the entertainment. He changes every time, and he's great to do pictures of.
Can you think of like one of your favorite John Galliano at the end of the show looks? Because he's done everything.
Yes, he has done everything, hasn't he? But he always manages to come up with something new, amazing but true. I think for me the favorite was the wonderful, handsome tuxedo that he wore without the pants. He wore them with white boxer shorts because he's in such good shape. He has beautiful legs, and I think that's my favorite. It's very glamorous and very movie star, and yet it's also very today.
And now that took you 2 years to do this book, right?
Yes.
So are you...
Well, it actually took me longer, but intensely working on the book, it took 2 years, just working on it.
And do you have another plan for another book already in your head?
I do.
You going to say what it is?
I want to do 4 more books.
4 more books?
Yes, that I have planned. One is artists and photographers, and that one I'd like to do next because it's a break from the fashion. And then after that I want to do the best of backstage because I have so many wonderful, wonderful pictures of Yves Saint Laurent, Donna Karan, Dolce & Gabbana, and all from New York, from Milan, from London, from Paris, of course. And I have all these incredible backstage pictures of the girls and the exchange between the girls and the designers themselves, of Lacroix lying on the ground with his feet up because his back hurt, of Yves Saint Laurent peeking out of the curtain, of Lagerfeld also peeking out, different peek out though, they have different peek outs, and of all kinds of wonderful moments, sometimes with other designers, sometimes alone. It's just so many personalities and so many models, and sometimes it's Yves Saint Laurent fixing a girl, and they're just so many. They are endless. That one's kind of, instead of my book, it's more like my encyclopedia. Because it's 30 years approximately of backstage. It goes so fast, it just zips by like that. And
So I met you almost in the beginning.
Yes, that's right.
Wow.
I started backstage when there was nobody backstage. It was me and the models and the designer, and nobody else was there. Sometimes there was hair and makeup there. Sometimes they didn't even go backstage. They just made them up and fixed them, and then that was it. And then they watched the show. It was really an amazing time. And then it grew and grew and grew. And then about 10 or 15 years ago is when it became this huge circus back there of video and guards and models and hair and makeup and assistants and.
And do you ever have a hard time getting back there?
Always.
After all this time?
Yes. The guards like to pick on a girl. It's easier to throw a girl out than a guy out. And they also say I'm always too dressed to look like a photographer, because when photographers first started, when I first started in the business, the runway photographers were big, huge guys with huge cameras dangling from them and safari jackets with lenses in them and all kinds of materials and so on. And then there was me, thinner, shorter, quieter, smaller cameras. And they said, "You don't look like a photographer, so you can't be one." So you have to leave the backstage now.
But now everybody knows your face.
The older people do. The young people that come in, some do, some don't. It's interesting how difficult it is to actually do backstage and make it look good. But since I love it, it's always a challenge and always something to do, and always to try and get more out of it than anybody else and better out of it than anyone else. And so it's interesting. It's really fun, and that's what keeps it alive for me, is the interest of trying to make it look as good as it is, as good as it can be.
And if you don't live in Paris, where the book's going to be available December 3rd, what's the distribution like, and can you get it on Amazon? Or
you can get it on Amazon, absolutely. And it
what's
will be
the
in
actual
New York,
name?
probably. I think they said December 10th or 12th. It will be in New York, maybe a little bit before then. The actual title is Roxanne Lowitt, Backstage DIOR, Forward and Fashion by Joan Galliano.
Great.
I tried to make it less words, but it didn't work. And my first two books only had one title, one word in the title. My
People.
first book was Moments, and the second book was People. So now I've made up with a very wordy fashion title.
Great. So I will look forward to seeing it in real life.
Yes, and it should be €98 in Europe, and I believe it's $125 in the States.
And they can also go on Amazon.
Yes, absolutely. You can get it on Amazon.
Great.
Yes.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you, Diane.